Alright everybody, I'm back with another Christopher Walken movie for you on the channel. We recently covered the Prophecy trilogy from Vinegar Syndrome, and I'm here today to discuss The Dead Zone on 4K from Scream Factory. How did it turn out? Let's get into it. Hey everybody, I'm Chris. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Today we're going to be discussing the 4K upgrade from Scream Factory. How did it turn out? So, here it is. Here's the Dead Zone. Look at that packaging. It's very basic. No alternate slipcover, no alternate artwork. Well, welcome to Scream Factory. Anyway, the discs are pretty much the same as the Blu-ray, and that's my only complaint. We'll get to that very end because I do want to talk about the video and the audio quality first, and the one new special feature that we've got here, and then what I would like to see from Scream Factory in 2024, because these releases keep kind of being the same bland releases. I don't know why I keep getting them. Some of them I don't own. So some of you be like, well, why stop buying them? Stop buying these 4Ks. Some of these movies I actually don't own the Blu-rays. I do of the Dead Zone. Some of them I don't. So for me, it's a first time purchase and I don't own the movie, and I'm getting both the Blu-ray and the 4K. Let's get into the video here. So this is a new 4K scan of the camera negative, and it looks fantastic. All of the grain is intact. It's finished off in Dolby Vision. This is a very blue movie, kind of the shade of my hoodie here, and all of that does wonders. The Dolby Vision is doing a lot there. I prefer Dolby Vision over an HDR10. Some people are kind of like, it's the same, it's not. I just like Dolby Vision. I like the way that Dolby Vision looks. So me personally, that's just what I like, and they did it in Dolby Vision. Now, on the audio front here, we get the same track that we got on the Blu-ray. So we get the DTS HD Master Audio, 5.1 track and 2.0 track. They sound fine. That is a recurring theme with these kind of re-releases in 4K from Scream Factory, is the audio is just the same, which kind of sucks. You know, I know the audio can be good, and sometimes they're even like saying it's a 5.1 track when it actually is only a mono track. So I think with the number that they're doing, quality control is still an issue here. This is fine. It actually has that, so we don't have any worries there like we did with Silver Bullet. Even though that was a fantastic release, there were some packaging errors, and I think that's the biggest thing that Scream Factory could learn from going into 2024 is just their packaging. So on the video front, I think it looks really good. The grain, like I said, is intact. It's a very blue movie, but I like the way that it looks. This is a David Cronenberg film, so if you like his work, this is going to be another standout. I love this movie a ton. I really like this book. It's one of Stephen King's better novels. As of late, his work is kind of mixy, up and down. It's kind of garbage in some aspects. I just finished Holly. I think it's better than some of his other stuff, but that's a low bar at this point. The man has become so political that I think it's seeping into all of his work. It's just fine. Just like this release, it's fine. So it's very fitting that we're getting a Stephen King adaptation that's fine from a company sometimes that is very fine and middling. So anyway, Christopher Walken does a great job. Sheen does a great job as the antagonist in this movie. So if you've never seen The Dead Zone, I highly recommend you watch The Dead Zone. I'm not going to spoil The Dead Zone for you. It's a very interesting concept. The man can see into the future, and he has a way of dealing with it, and that is murder. Anyway, I love this movie. I love this book. It's one of Stephen King's original novels that just kind of hits home. He kind of did a similar thing with 11/22/63 in concept, even though it is a little bit different. You know, going back in time, and this is more just being able to see the future. So they're kind of different, but the same, in parallel to each other, but I like them both equally the same. That one had a pretty decent adaptation on Hulu, and this is a great movie. I think Cronenberg was the right person to direct this movie. Christopher Walken is a great protagonist in this movie, and he kind of plays that disconnected, cold person who knows things and has to deal with them and can't really tell anybody that he's got to deal with them, and he just has to do it knowing that there are going to be consequences for his action, but in the end it's going to be the best scenario for everyone. So as a movie, it's a fantastic movie. As a video presentation, probably about a 4.5 out of 5. I think it's very well done. Is it a silver bullet? Man, silver bullet just keeps coming back, in these discussions. I think that looks really good. It's because I think I had no expectations for silver bullet, and so it kind of just surprised me, whereas some of these going in, like your Child's Play, your Chucky's, I have high expectations for those 4K reviews, so when they don't hit that mark, it's very disappointing, whereas some of these, I'm like, if it's marginally better than the Blu-ray, then I am happy, and this is better than the Blu-ray. Silver bullet was 10 times better than the Blu-ray. So as an upgrade, should you upgrade? That's kind of the question with most of these videos and these reviews. Should you upgrade? If you own the Blu-ray, I don't know, because it's going to come down to, do you want to get the one new special feature, and do you really like the movie? So the new special feature is there's an audio commentary with Mike Flanagan, Eric Vespi, and Scott Wampler. The audio commentary was decent. Hearing from Mike Flanagan was very interesting. I honestly would have rather just had it be Mike Flanagan talking about the movie, because I like his insight into the material. He's talked to Stephen King. He kind of has a more well-rounded look at the universe and kind of the mindset that Stephen King has and adapting some of these movies. I would have loved to have him do Revival. If you've never read Revival, highly recommend it. It's a phenomenal book and one of Stephen King's better novels in the last decade. Overall, my biggest gripe when we're talking about these Scream Factory releases, and what I hope that they would get better at in 2024, I do not see this happening, is the packaging. When you get something from from Vinegar Syndrome, that shit is going to be amazing. Yes, some of their stuff is plain. It's just got the slipcover, it's got the disc, but man, that thick-ass cardboard just goes a long way, and their artwork is always phenomenal. Scream Factory always has this cheap, thin plastic, and they've always done this. But where they stood out for me was always the artwork. So on those Blu-rays, on the old steelbooks, the artwork was always very cool and interesting and different and unique to the movie that they were making. Here, you just get the stock, poster packaging from this. And I think sometimes this is good as the alternate. I like to always have the original art for my movie so that I can have that. But I like when they do the alternate slips, and I am somebody, I don't understand how they're choosing. How does Dead Silence get one, but My Buddy Valentine doesn't, and all of these other ones don't get alternate slips? I don't know how they're mathing all of the math on alternate covers. I wish they would kind of just give me the old Blu-ray art and then the original cover art, but I'm not sure how the old artwork is licensed, who owns the rights to that anymore. Can they reuse that? Maybe they can't. I don't know, but this is the only area that seems very sloppy, is when they're pitting these out, they're just throwing out the old artwork. So I don't know, but again, this for me is going to come down to, do you want that uptick in quality? And for me personally, as long as the video is good, the audio is most likely going to be the same, unless you're getting something where they're going out of the norms, where you get a Texas Chainsaw with a 7.1 Atmos track, which is kind of mind-blowing that it even happened. And it did open up some audio channels where stuff was going on, and you're like, man, that was very interesting and cool. Even if you prefer to listen to it in its original mono track, it still was very cool. Jaws did the same thing, where it was hey, here's this Atmos track for this very old movie. We've done a ton of restoration work to it, and this just was something that we wanted to do to kind of keep it more modern. These sometimes feel like relics because the audio is very old, they don't do anything. Now sometimes that's fine, because the audio may be very good. I think the Dead Zone audio is very good, so I don't know that I wanted them to do an Atmos, but sometimes I just like experimentation. Sometimes it's more than just being hey, let's just scan a new 4K scan and dump it out there. That's how it feels sometimes from Scream Factory. I know a lot of work does go into these restorations, so I'm not, I don't want to belittle the work that is going into these. Sometimes they just kind of feel very sterile. It doesn't feel like there's any heart in these releases. And I know Scream Factory gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and the heart goes down and down and down. Whereas I feel the love, every time a Vinegar Syndrome package comes out, I feel like somebody is just sitting there at a desk being this is what we need to do. And they love what they're making. Whereas Scream Factory, it seems like there's a board and they're hey, what have we not upgraded to 4K yet? Spin the wheel. All right, it's the Dead Zone this week, so let's do that. Anyway, I just hope going into 2024, some of their bigger releases, they do a phenomenal job with packaging, like the Halloween having those hard shell cases. That was phenomenal, but they don't do that all the time. Chucky didn't get that. So I don't know, like Halloween obviously got that treatment when they did Friday the 13th. That's an incredible set. So I don't know who decides all of this. I think the Ring looks cool, but again, it's just the, you know, kind of the box set thing. So we'll see how Scream Factory does going into 2024. Can they right some of their wrongs with just doing very generic, just upgrades? I don't know. I doubt it. Just at this point where we're at, I'm still going to proclaim that, you know, Vinegar Syndrome is my favorite, more in content and kind of packaging. I know a lot of people like Arrow, but again, for me, Vinegar Syndrome wins every day, all day. All right, so I've ranted enough. Should you pick this up? It's really going to come down to, do you like the Dead Zone? I really like the Dead Zone, so I was always going to pick this up because I want the best format in some of these movies that I can watch. I'm not saying I have to have 4K, but if it's there, I do want the uptick in quality. All right, so that's all I've got. Thanks for stopping by. Let me know down below, are you going to be picking up the Dead Zone on 4K? What's your favorite Christopher Walken film? I know it may, you know, kind of extend past the horror that we cover on this channel, but I'm just curious. I just want to kind of know, like, what's everybody thinking? Hope you all had a great holidays, and I'm looking forward to getting my best and worst video up sometime in the next week or two. I really have been very busy with the holidays going on, and I want to take my time. And also, I'm getting to the point where I don't know that I had 10 horror movies that I liked this year. I know, that's weird. But I cover so many obscure movies on this channel. That's what I'm typically watching, that I have covered some new ones, but I don't think this year was very great for horror. Anyway, on a more go to the theater, watch a horror movie. Streaming was another story, but we'll get into all that in those videos. That's all I've got. I'm going to link some videos for you at the end as always. If you like what we do here, consider becoming part of the collective, and I'll talk to you guys in my next 4K review.